All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Well-Don Tanks live stream. This one's going to be a fun one tonight, I believe so. All right, let's get started. Good evening. So time, you may have noticed, kind of went from 7:15 to 7. I didn't have to work today at my day job, so we were able to get here at 7. Got it going. Let's make sure we are rolling. Let's mute everything. Let's get the chat pulled up. Let's say hello to some people. Let's start off with some information, housekeeping thing. I like to call, I think it's called house. We can call it housekeeping. Then we will break down into our absolute shenanigans tonight. I think, yeah, we'll see. I know we got a Dreamfish SLC here hanging out with us, getting ready to join in on this one. Right. What we got here? What does this do? Makes it huge. Okay. Exit full screen. I'm touching buttons. Probably shouldn't be touching buttons I shouldn't be touching, or I don't know what's going to happen. So I end up breaking something. But looks like we got both Trevor and Rachel in the house tonight. Rachel, I'm glad you joined in on. We pulled you into the community and the fish keeping shenanigans. So part of the housekeeping we're going to get into. Trevor and Rachel are officially going to be one of our first guinea pigs for the waterfront, but it's gonna be a good night tonight. So M's hanging out with us. We got Lewis in the stream tonight. Rachel, Trevor, hello. Sharon Miller joining us. Leo's joining in. Hello, everybody. We'll give it a few minutes to get some people in here, and we'll get going. Leo, you are welcome. Hopefully, I was able to help you get going there on the questions you had, but appreciate everybody being here tonight. It's been a manes, tails, fur, and fins. Manes, tails, fur, and fins. Hello. That's a mouthful, but it's fun to work my brain through that. But hello. Thanks for being here. Lindsay joining in. Hayden Tran joining in. Wow, we got a crew coming in tonight. Hello, everybody. Very busy last 4 days. So these last 4 days, including today, so Friday to Monday here, I've had off of my day job. Spent half the day in the fish room Friday getting tanks ready. Saturday, we worked an entire day, 30 minutes after opening to close at the shop. Sunday, we spent a couple hours at the shop, and then today has been go, go, go out with the family. We hit the shop for a few hours, brought some fish in, took some fish in, filmed a new video at the shop today, which I think you guys are going to be excited for this one. So let me grab it really quick, actually. Oh. All right. So the Excalibur Foods. I filmed an entire video on the Excalibur Foods today. It is a fantastic food, and now that I've been feeding it to my flower horn for like almost 2 weeks now, I can tell you this. I've seen a vast difference already just in that. So we filmed an entire breakdown of the Excalibur flower horn foods. I'm very excited for that. Black Label Carling, hello, happy Monday. Just started my second week with the tank servicing work. That's awesome. That's cool. So is it? I'm curious. Is it a business you started, or did you take one over? You joined in on one, but that's awesome. That's cool that we can always find things to make things work for us. I've had business to do with the fish related things. I may be starting something that of myself here shortly. I'm not pushing it hard, but I've had coworkers come to me. They know I'm a nerd about fish, and they ask me like, "Hey, can you set up a tank for us?" Absolutely. And then I had one reach out that I think they're the most serious about it. So I pitched to them of, "Hey, if I'll get you set up with everything, I'll help you. I'll teach you everything. But then if you want me to, X amount of dollars a month, I'll come by, I'll service it, make, hands down, make it easy for you." So that's awesome. I'm curious to see how that goes for you. I'm curious to see your experience with that, Black Label Carling. All right, what else we got going on today? So it's a past 4 days has been go, go, go. I never realized how much my hands would hurt after being in tanks like 2 days straight. That's what's kind of blown my mind about working at the shop is my hands were in tanks all day Saturday, doing water changes, selling fish, bagging fish. At one point Saturday, me, Lewis, and Peter were all bagging fish for customers with other customers waiting for us to talk to them. So one of the things that we absolutely strive to do at the waterfront is you will not walk in the front door without being greeted. If we don't greet you, that's on us. That's our fault. So we always strive to greet you. Then we try and get to you as fast as we can. But like Saturday, even with 3 of us working, there was just not enough hands to go around to get fish in bags for people, or even just answer questions. And Saturday was an awesome day. So we haven't been able to get orders. This week will be the first order from our wholesaler since middle December. So it's been like 3 weeks without a wholesale order just because of holiday shutdowns, different things like that. But Saturday it landed to where we had all kind of made connections with some local breeders. We probably bought 200 fish from local breeders. So it was awesome to watch different people come in with different fish and ask different questions and meet different needs. And it was cool to see there. So Saturday was a very, very busy day for all of us. I got some airline ran for the new tanks we're putting in the back of the shop. Some discus pairs came in that I just could not believe that came in. Absolutely incredible. So what we got here? Black Little Carling. So joining in on one, I lost my corporate job in September, so I needed something to do. Well, I am sorry you lost your job. That's never a good thing, but very happy you joined in on one. Hopefully it's going to I'm really curious to see how that goes for you. If you like it, if you hate it, if it turns into work you don't want to work, I hope you keep your passion for what you're doing. It's like, for me, joining in the shop has actually like increased my passion of what I'm doing. So really curious to see. I hope, how do I put this? I want to use you as like a living journal to see how it goes. Now I know that's no pressure on you to like reach out to me personally or anything, but I'm curious to see each live stream, if you're able to make it, kind of get some updates from you, like see how it's going for you. I'm really, and if I can support you in any way, please let me know. I would absolutely love to support you any way I can there. Taylor coming in. Made it. Hey, Fish Fam. Happy New Year. Taylor, it's good to see you here. Finally on a live stream. I know I'm not always the easiest to get to. 7 p.m. Monday nights for my time is just what I've been able to find. I can get to with work, family, everything going on. Like the past 4 days, I say it's my wife. We saw her sister today. She actually ended up rescuing a fish, brought it down to us at the waterfront. She's like, yeah, how's your weekend been? And my wife's like, hasn't been busy for me, but Trent's been nonstop going. So yeah, my wife has, without her support this weekend, nothing would have happened. It was so big. I was going. Sunny Cal, hello. Medul's coming in. Rikistan, remember to hit that likety-like button. Thank you, sir. Got alert, but the stream is running. Well, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you even mentioning the likety-like button. M, thank you so much for dropping the link to become a member of the channel. We'll talk about that here in a moment. We got look at this, 8 minutes in and I'm just rambling. Clay D, good to see you again. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Let's see. Trevor Goodman's Fish in the Water Change. It's time to sit down for the live stream. Busy local fish store is a sign of a good local fish store. One that's deserted with no employee, even visible, means they need revenue or lacking in quality. Yeah, and we are actually in the process of talking of hiring an employee to help with days that we can't all 3 be there. So yes, weekends it is slammed. But it's awesome. It's fun though. It's one thing I'm noticing too is the positive connections we're creating. So I can't tell you, right? Christmas happened. How many, if you want a tip from Christmas, if you want free tanks or cheap tanks, January and February are the best months to grab cheap tanks and free tanks because everybody got them for Christmas. Everybody's not going to want to clean them and everybody's going to get rid of them. So 10 gallons, 20 gallons, sometimes 55 gallons, you can snag those all day long, So we've noticed though, we've had numerous individuals come into the shop over the weekend saying, I just got this tank, this, blah, blah, this fish is in there. What can I put into it? And we've been able to use these as good learning experiences for these customers. And I feel we've been able to do it in a positive way where the customers have all left saying, you know what, I'm going to change some things. I'll be back. And I really look forward to working with you guys. So we heard numerous times over the weekend that, yeah, I stopped into I stopped into Petco and they didn't know what they were talking about. It sounds like you guys know what you're talking about. So kind of a lead into what we're going to get in tonight. So don't go anywhere. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one. Kevin, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. All right. All right. Where are we at? Okay. Starting off here, and this is going to come across super sales pitchy. I don't mean it to come across super sales pitchy. I've been thinking like the last hour before I became live of how do I say this without being super sales pitchy. So take it for what it is. All right. M dropped us a link in the chat to become a member of the channel, and all the members of the channel, thank you. And I'm going to preface this with, if you don't want to become a member of the channel or don't want to pay to become a member of the channel, don't worry. I still really appreciate your support. It's just members get early access to some things. You guys aren't missing anything. You're just getting, some people just get the early access kind of stuff. So don't feel bad if you can't be there. Fact that you watch my videos, show up to live streams, leave comments, all support, all appreciate it. Now, the members, I talked to Lewis and Peter, members of the Well-Don Tanks channel, you are all going to be our guinea pigs. I put up a post about this just for members, that we are going to start shipping dry goods and fish to members only right now. So if you want to become a member, and you want to get early access to the waterfront shipping schedule, that's how we're going to do it. So Trevor and Rachel have already picked out a flower horn from the shop. It's on hold for them at the shop. I've got a box at the shop with dry goods already set aside for them. Now the understanding is we're still putting together our shipping operation. So the fish is on hold for them. They may not have it for another 2 to 3 weeks just because we want to start this right. So may take, and that's why we want to start with the members of this hopefully it's a group of people that understand if it takes a little longer, they're not going to get super mad at us. And if something goes crazy wrong, which I hope it doesn't, we're doing everything to make sure that doesn't happen. It's a group of people that we can work with closely to get proper critiques, maybe some criticism, dial things in to where shipping may be a little more expensive right up front as we're figuring this out, but it's a group of people that we're going to use to dial in this process, but also as a thank you for being a member, you're getting early access to all of this. So dry goods are going to be super simple to ship. They're most likely going to ship out in USPS flat rate boxes. We'll discuss shipping costs as all that kind of comes down together. Fish, we're only going to ship airport to airport. That's it. We're not going to do overnight. It's going to be airport to airport. If you've never done that, I will coordinate that with you. It's super simple to understand. It's just we feel that airport to airport has the lowest risk possible as we're starting shipping fish. So this week we're coordinating to try and get an air tank at the shop so we can actually package fish with pure oxygen. So hopefully we can have that fish be successful. So it's going to be a process. Now the members, if you want to become a member, you want to access this, you need to so looking for stock, email me at weldonaquatics@gmail.com. I'm going to be kind of your go-to guy to coordinate all of this with the members. Now understand, the other reason we're starting this with the members right now is, let's say all the members decide to take advantage of this. All of you email me. All of you are asking, what fish are available? What's this available, right? You got to give me a minute to kind of gather. I will promise I will take care of you as fast as I can. It's just going to take me maybe an extra day to coordinate with Lewis, with Peter. Hey, is this fish at the shop? Okay, we have it. Okay, hold on to it. Do we have enough extreme foods to meet this order? Okay, like poor Trevor's waiting on his dry goods because I need krill flake to come in. So I'll get to you, but that's what we feel comfortable opening this up to. Is it's now going to allow the members to have access to our stock, but it's also going to give us kind of a test group to run through to make sure that we can take care of everybody that we need to. Because then we're going to move on to like general public shipping, and you guys will know that you're going to have like the first experiences with the waterfront on. So from there, hope that wasn't super sales pitchy. Let's jump back into the chat, see what we got going on here. Justin Mosley, good to see you here. The fam is doing great. We spent the day running around today, doing a bunch of things. The shop, busier than ever. Shop is busier than ever. It's going nuts there. Leo, thank you so much, my man. Welcome to being a member. I need to find like a fun tagline with that, but your support, greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. I did release a members video today. Right before we went live, actually on the stream, we did a members only live stream the other night. But if you're not a member, I promise you're not missing out on things. You will see everything in time. Just with the members, sometimes they get more raw footage of the fish room, different things. But then, like you say, the members are being our test group A for shipping. But that's where we're going from there. So, Em, thank you so much for dropping all of those links in the chat. So if you want to know, follow the Waterfront on Facebook, follow the Waterfront on Instagram. Lewis does a really good job of updating some stock, more so on Instagram. If we get something really special and he throws it up on Instagram, if you're looking for something, send me an email with like the fish you're looking for. If you want a flower horn, and I'm even willing to try and coordinate with you, do like a FaceTime call to where you can pick out the flower horn you want, kind of a thing. Trevor and Rachel got lucky because the flower horn I put up on the post, they wanted that specific flower horn. He was still available, so I ran down to the shop, marked it as sold, and we're now coordinating for that there. Carrie, good to see you. Thanks for joining in. All right, we got here pretty good. Just doing some maintenance on the new crystal red tank. Nice. BG Aqua, hello. Let's see. All right. Okay, so that catches up with where we're at with the memberships. That nature of things. Oh my God, did I miss anything? I don't think I missed anything. Okay. Where we at? Let's rack my brain on things, making sure I didn't miss anything nuts here. I think we're caught up on chat. All right. How about we get into our discussion for the evening? This is going to be a fun one. This is going to be an interesting one. So, tonight's topic, as you can see, can be a controversial topic, and it's the reason why I haven't done it yet. This one comes with Bottom Dwellers Aquatics. Man, I missed it all. I didn't miss anything. We're just getting started on the topic. No. If you want the first 17-minute intro we just did, yeah, you'll have to hit you just catch the replay. And which reminds me, anybody catch the replay, thank you. I never want to forget you guys because I know not everybody can catch my streams. I'm the same. I watch a lot of replays. So if you want to be involved in the chat and that too, just feel free to leave a comment and we'll keep going here. I got busy working on a tank. What did I miss? Bottom Dwellers Aquatics, mainly we talked about what the members of the channel have access to. We're doing some early access with shipping from the waterfront. Nutshell, if you want the full explanation, just make sure to catch the replay up until this point. But all right, so the topic here. It is kind of fun that like the last 2 weeks, all of the topics have come with a disclaimer. So you know that I can get off rants on this one. Okay, there is going to be some facts in this one, and I will try and be like fact. Then I will also, a lot of this is going to be the opinion of Trent Weldon of Well-Done Tanks. Just think of that. Like, there's going to be a lot of opinion on this one, and if anybody starts trash talking employees, I will have my moderators to put you on a timeout. So moderators in the chat, if you see things getting aggressive, feel free to put people on a timeout. That's how serious I'm about this stream. Is I do not want to degrade anybody. I know in other streams people will just hammer people. I want this particular topic to be educational, and I want people to walk away with hopefully a different viewpoint. Now, saying that, feel free to share all of your opinions in the chat. That's why we do live streams. That's why we give people the opportunity to voice that. But just know that my moderators are there with their ban hammer, or we're going to call it the silence cone, the cone of silence, just because I will not be the channel that just degrades people. That is not what I'm here for. And I've been, I don't want to say been a victim. That's not what I mean. How do I put this? You guys don't see all the comments that I've deleted and hidden from the comment section of all the videos, literally saying I'm on drugs because of my Tourette's. I'm not on drugs. I just twitch a lot. I sniff a lot. So having been that, putting myself out there, understand too that there are individuals in stores that put themselves out there and they're doing the best they possibly can. So we're going to use this stream as an opportunity to hopefully change some opinions. So share your opinions, but just do not degrade people. But also with that too of I want to hear experiences from people, but let's try and make them. You can share your negative experiences. Just understand that some people don't have all the knowledge that us fish nerds have. All right, let's get into this here. Yeah, I've only got negative things to say about Lewis at the waterfront. Well, Dreamfish says so. Be careful. M's got his hammer out. Because your fish sneaking in. Travis, hello. Appreciate you guys being here. All right, let's get started here. Big box stores versus your local fish stores. I feel like I'm giving a sermon. Let's get started here. Now, okay. We have all heard I'm going to probably say Petco because for whatever reason it's easier for me to say Petco than Petsmart. So we're going to lump it in together. Big box stores versus your local fish stores. I know other countries, areas. I think there's like Big Al's, some other larger big box stores. In my area, Petco is more prominent than Petsmart, and most of us in the United States know about Petco because of their dollar per gallon sales. And I have no idea if in other countries, I'm sure big box stores exist. They have to, right? I just don't know the prominence of them in other countries. So speaking from United States standpoint, Petco is very prominent. PetSmart's very prominent. Then you move into your local fish stores. Now, when I first started the hobby, and this is where we're going to start here, I had no idea what an LFS was. No idea. When I started researching things, you would see this tag pop up like, yeah, LFS. Like, what the heck is that? So then I learned that it meant local fish store. I had no idea that local fish stores even were a thing, ever existed. I had no clue about this. When I first started the hobby, I had no idea you could go to Aquabid and buy hundreds of fish at the tips of your fingers. I had no idea that there was shops set up to buy foods and this and that and specific flower horn foods. So I had no idea of any of that. Now you have to also understand, most people when they first start the hobby, they don't know that either. And my eyes were open to that this weekend as we had individuals coming in after Christmas. They got their tanks, that they were there like asking questions of, yeah, like I have this peacock in my 20-gallon tank and this guy told me I could add 6 more. And we try to educate them of, okay, you can. That's another stream I want to do, what you can and can't do in the hobby. Oh man, I'm going to go off on, I'm going to get banned from YouTube with these topics I'm coming up with. And we would tell people like, okay, you can add 6 more fish. Sure, it's your tank. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. It's your tank, but it's going to be a bloodbath. It will not end well. And then it's oftentimes followed up with, well, the Petco employee told me I could. Okay, all right. Now here's where we start entering these waters. This stream topic really started with the Facebook groups again. If you watched last stream, you know that I was ranting and raving about these Facebook groups. So I'm in these Facebook groups and post comes up of, has anybody had any experience treating this? Now I'm going to be very generic as I don't want anybody going down and tracking down this specific Facebook post and blasting people. So user A made a post asking, has anybody treated this specific, we'll say, disease? Posted up a picture, then the comments start coming in, right? And if you watched our last stream, you know that it came in with the first one, what are your water parameters? And I just started laughing. Now, then the next question was, where did you get the fish? Or have you changed anything in the tank? Then the replies started coming in, right? My water parameters are such and such. I'm sorry, water parameters don't necessarily cause disease. Just saying, it's always usually some outside source. Anyways, the comment that got my mind racing about this topic was, I believe the Petco fish brought it. Like it was, I blame Petco because that's where I bought the latest fish and added them to the tank. Now my fish are sick. And it was literally one of these of like, read, like, are you kidding me? Like, really? You're kidding me, right? Okay. Fact. And this is gonna blow people's minds. Joe, man, the fisherman. Good to see you here. I think it's the first time here. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Petco or Petsmart. That's the thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. I just ruined the stream. You can leave now if you want to know what I really think about this. There's nothing wrong with Petco and Petsmart. So, fact. And this is going to blow people's minds here. Did you know that Petco and Petsmart, they get their fish from the same wholesalers as your local fish stores do? What? No, they don't. There's no way. Trent, you're lying to me. There is no way that Petco and Petsmart get the same fish from my local fish store because my local fish store's fish are super healthy. They're the best fish store ever. They take care of their fish. If you go to Petco, there's dead fish all over the place. No way they come from the same place. I don't believe it. Yeah, fact. They come from the same wholesaler. Because think about it. Local fish store A buys from wholesaler A. If that wholesaler supplies 90% of the country with their fish, where are Petco and Petsmart going to buy their fish from? Just saying. Now, here's the difference, though. And this is a great example now being a part owner of the waterfront. And if you go back in my channel, when Lewis, before I was an owner, when Lewis let us have access to the list and he let us decide what we were going to order in for the waterfront, that's when my eyes opened up here a little bit. The local fish stores, they get to be very picky of what they order in to their shop. They get to decide if they're going to order in the Epistos, the Trebensis, the monster fish, the gars, the catfish, the angelfish, the discus, the flower horns. What else have we brought in? The plecos, like all the fancy plecos, all the fancy plecos buy all of our fancy plecos. The waterfront is becoming known for its fancy plecos, and I love it. Now, let's switch over to Petco. So like local fish store, we've now determined typically there's one or two owners. In this case, the waterfront, there's three owners, right? Okay, we've established that. So there's three people that may or may not decide what fish come into the shop. Lewis primarily orders the fish for the shop. He's the main owner. I'm good with that. So he has a lot of decision making, but still reaches out to us and says, hey guys, what do you think about adding 17 extra fancy plecos to this order this week? Cool, send it off, done, right? Now let's switch over to Petco, where they have 30 locations across Utah, and there's one guy that's the corporate head for these 30 locations. So now you hire people that are going to be managers of these locations, right? So you may have 30 different managers to each of these locations. How do you control 30 managers if they're all ordering different things? How do you go from, well, this Petco, they had this fish, but this Petco, they didn't have this fish, right? So to keep it very easy on budgeting and money and where is this money going to, they've given these 30 managers to come off of. They've pushed down a list that said you can order Molly's Guppy, Tiger Barbs, they're trying to think of common plus, rainbow shark, glowfish, bunch of rice, fish, koi, what am I missing, right? Like it's very bumblebee cichlid, like it was the bumblebee cichlid. Like you see a lot of the same fish at the Petcos. So that's the real difference here. Local fish store, we get to determine what we want to bring in by customer basis. You can walk into our shop and say, hey man, can you order me a needle nose gar? I really want a needle nose gar. Can you get me one? Sure, put you down. Like I got a customer right now. I'm brought in. He actually bought the front side. First, hopefully my stream's still going because it's flickered twice now. I think Really laggy. Wow. Okay. I apologize for that. Hopefully it catches up. Hopefully we're not frozen. We have upgraded our internet to try and avoid this. It looks like we're pulling bandwidth, and it looks like it's really bad quality right now. So, okay. Down here. I will apologize if the quality is horrible. We're yeah. Okay. Sorry. This may just be a rough stream tonight. I apologize for that. We've had some video is choppy. Yeah, we found that the internet, the wires, then when the builders built our house, they ran the wires wrong. So it was actually like crushing our internet speeds. And we've done our part to try and fix it. So we're definitely trying to boost it. So I apologize if the stream is super choppy. That's really one thing when we move that we hope to really combat and like be better is when we move, we're hoping to land in an area with more fiber optic stuff so we can really boost our internet speeds. So, man, I apologize for that. Man, that was rough. Okay, where was I? Back on topic here. And don't worry, I'm watching the chat. I'll answer your questions here in a minute. I'm on a good rant right now. So, okay. Customers can walk into a local fish store and request a fish. We may be able to get it. You walk into a Petco and you ask for a special order. Sorry. Okay. Petcos are typically pretty controlled on what they can order. That's why you see so many of the same fish in those areas. But it's the argument of where this topic came from of this person on this Facebook post saying, "Oh, it's Petco's fish fault that my other fish got sick." Wrong. Okay? Wrong. I didn't understand what a quarantine was when I first started the hobby. I had no idea that you could quarantine fish. Like it just never, for whatever reason, never crossed my mind that this living animal can get sick. You know, but now when you think about it, like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like humans, we get colds, we get flu, we get this. Fish get the ick, they get velvet, they get anchorworm. They get, fungal infections, bacterial infections. Like now this makes sense. Okay. So I saw this post of, I blame Petco fish. Like, okay, actually, you didn't quarantine, so it's kind of your own fault. Now people start arguing, well, local fish stores fish are just better. Okay, why? Why are local fish store fish better than Petco's fish? Well, they just are. That's all you got for me? Like, they just are? Yeah, they just are. Okay. You know what? Speaking of Facebook, too, it surprised me. In my local Facebook group for our Greater Salt Lake Aquarium Society Club, a young girl, I don't say young girl, like, okay, a woman who had just got hired onto Petco as their new aquatics manager, posted in the group that she was, and introduced herself, said, "Hello, I am the new manager of this Petco. Is there any specific fish you would like to see in the shop?" Then I thought that was cool. I really thought that she took time to go out of her way to try and make that happen. So it opened my eyes to there's some leeway they have there. But yeah, they have bread and butter fish. They have bread and butter fish that they're going to keep there versus like the waterfront where we have some wild, crazy, oddball fish that we pull in from our wholesalers. And sometimes we've pulled fish in that, like, we have a knife fish in the shop right now. It's brand new to the hobby. It is 100% brand new to the hobby. So we don't know much about it. But we ordered it in. We're trying to learn about it. We're seeing what it eats. We're seeing how it interacts. And now we can teach customers about this fish. Here's another difference between Petco and local fish stores and why their fish may be better. If you notice a lot of, and again, this isn't me. Okay, I'm going to stay away from that actually. Local fish stores, the way I can break this down is that's a hobby store for that. You go to like a craft store, that's your hobby for a craft store. You go to Walmart, Walmart has crafting material, but it's not necessarily like what a craft store is going to have. You go to Petco, you're going to find gerbils, hamsters, rabbits, birds, snakes, lizards, turtles, all these different things, right? Like all these different things that have to be managed at a Petco, at a big box store. You come to a local fish store. You know what I did most of my day Saturday around helping customers? Water changes. I was doing water changes and top-offs of tanks most of the day, and I was there for almost 12. What was I there for? 10 hours? Over 10 hours? Like, that's 10 hours that I spent looking into every individual tank at the store, like every individual tank at the shop on Saturday, outside of helping customers. It allowed me to do a couple things. One, it allowed me to pull out the unfortunate deaths of fish that just naturally occur. You go to the wholesaler and you're going to see in one tank, let's say 3,000 neon tetras. So when we order 50 of them, they go, whoop, there's 50 of them. Petco orders 50 of them. Whoop, there's 50 of them. Now, the difference is when they land to us, we have tanks set up. We're like, okay, we're going to land them here. We're going to keep a really close eye on these fish. All right, that fish isn't looking so hot. Okay, what's going on here? All right, let's get some meds in that tank. Let's really watch this tank. We're going to put a big Q on this tank and say, sorry, guys, this tank's in quarantine. We're trying to get these fish healthy. Then we'll sell them to you. So come back in a week, see us what we can do for you then. We're not afraid to say that. We're not afraid to say, like the other day, somebody came in, they were looking at an Amazon puffer we had in the shop, and it was like, I'm sorry, guys, like that fish's belly is super sunken in. I do not feel confident selling you that particular fish. Give me a week. Let me try and get this fish through a quarantine process, see what we can do for you. Poor Trevor's waiting on some super red severums from us still. So we imported some super red severums, got him in, landed him into a tank, and we knew that we were going to have to do some quarantine on these fish to try and help them through. What's hard, though, is they came from imported through wholesaler to us, spent a long time in shipping. They landed to us. They were already looking really, really rough when they landed to us. So we got them up in the tank. We make sure the tank was heated, everything, put them in there, turned off the light, added some meds to the water, and they started coming around. 3 days later, we lost them. So it's an unfortunate thing that happens. But as I was doing these water changes, I went through and I picked out the onesie twosies of fish that inevitably are not going to make it when they land anywhere. So now that allows me to get out rotting matter of tanks. It allows me to clean up the tanks so things look a little fresher, right? Also water changes. I'm doing water changes on every tank. So now I'm really learning these fish. Like I was doing changes like, this tank isn't looking so hot. Like what's going on with this? Oh, hey, when was the last time this fish was fed? So it allowed me to have personal time with each tank to where then we're able to dial in tanks. So we rearranged some fish to where they're going to be the happiest, where they're going to be the best. Our discus in shop, we make sure those tanks are 86 degrees when we land discus there. Are you ever going to see discus at Petco? Probably not, right? So here's another difference. We were able to buy from local breeders over the weekend to restock our shop. So that gave us access to local fish. You walk into Petco, they're not going to buy your fish. This is how the corporation's set up. So Petco lands their fish. Honestly, I don't know their quarantine procedures. I don't. And that's not necessarily on them, right? That's just a decision they've made to do because the argument is you should still be doing your own quarantine when you land them at your house. Over the weekend, I brought home 10 new species of fish to breed in the fish room, to where we got every tank in the fish room now has hopefully actively breeding fish into it. And the members got a live stream of that. And the members saw me talking to myself of where I'm going to put fish, how I'm going to do this. And even in part of that live stream, I talked about how I'm taking fish A and I'm quarantining them because they came from a local breeder to the waterfront, and then I took them home that day. So that means I hope this local breeder has healthy fish, but now that they're in my fish room, before I jeopardize anything in my fish room, I'm putting them through my quarantine procedures. I took fish home from the waterfront that had been there for 2 months, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to actively I'm not going to necessarily medicate these fish because they've already been medicated at the waterfront, but they're still going to be on a quarantine where I'm going to watch them use different equipment, different nets, kind of keep an eye on them to see what's going on here. So Petco has so much going on that they don't always get to give individual attention to all of their tanks that I can at the waterfront, right? Lewis knows that if we don't sell healthy fish, we're out. Like the business, it's gone, right? And we've seen some chats of that too. I think Em made a comment where, a deserted local fish store, they're hurting. We're busy. Why are we busy? I feel like we're giving out pertinent information and we're selling good fish and we guarantee our fish. Now you move into Petco, and this is the number one argument I've always heard is, well, Petco told me I could do this. Their employees don't know anything. All right. Their employees know what they've been taught. Most of the time, their employees, I guarantee you, have really, really good intentions. There's just nobody backing them up with the information they may need to know. I've gone into Petco and talked with people about specific fish, and they're super knowledgeable about it. I was in a Petco and I heard somebody talking about like, hey, I don't recommend you put that many fish in that 10-gallon tank. And the customer says, I don't care. I'm doing what I want, right? Customer's always right. I've also been in a Petco where they're like, yeah, that's exactly what I would do. So it's both ways. I've been in local fish stores where I ask people too, like, hey, what is this? I don't know. Well, what can you tell me about this fish? I don't know. Well, will this fish do all right? Like the number one question we get is, can this fish live with this fish? Not everybody that comes into these shops knows the specifics of the fish. They don't know what the fish are called. They go, I want that blue one. I like that blue one. My mind's been open to that. That's how people shop for fish. I like that blue one. How do you think I started when I first started the hobby and went to Petco to buy fish? I like that red and black one. I like those. I like those. I like those. I like those. I had no idea. So the real truth of Petco fish versus local fish store fish, they're from the same wholesaler. They're from the same source. The only difference is at a local fish store, that is all they do. It is a literal store based around just fish. Petco, they have so many other things going on that fish that die, that's unfortunately like a write-off to them, right? They have the money, the corporation to do that. We lose fish at the waterfront, and it's like, oh, dang it. Like, well, we're making rent this month, right? Okay, it's not that extreme, but we understand when we lose fish that it's revenue lost, but that's also a fish that's lost from the hobby. That's a fish that we can't send home with somebody that's going to be so excited to have that fish. But I've also seen really good things. My true opinion of like the big box stores, they get people into the hobby. They get people into the hobby to enjoy the hobby, and they give a place to go for people to buy some of the, we'll call them beginner fish, right? Then you move into your local fish store region where if you want to go nerd out with somebody that's been doing fish for 30 years, that's where you go. The thing is, every day I've worked at the waterfront, I can't tell you how many times somebody walks in and goes, what can you tell me about this fish? And I go, hey, Lewis, what can you tell me about this fish? I'm still learning. That's the thing. I am still actively learning, but it's nice that I have Lewis there to mentor me on these fish, then vice versa. Sometimes like somebody walked in and they were like, so I've got this fish, what can it live with? And Lewis is like, Trent, what can you tell me about these Egyptian mouth brooders? Yeah, sweet. I've kept them. I bred them. I can tell you everything you need to know about them. One that blew my mind is a kid walked in. He had an Oscar. He was looking to buy a Nidalos gar. In my brain, it's like, sure, big fish. Why not? Right? Maybe it'll work. Lewis goes, that gar is going to be spaghetti to that Oscar fish. Oscar's going to just munch it up. And the kid could not grasp that concept. Then I started thinking about it. You take a big Oscar to a little itty bitty gar that's a noodle, it's going to get slurped up. All right, we've ignored the chat for long enough. Let's see what we got here. Where's my mouse? Oh, I talked so long, my mouse died. All right, here we go. Okay. Da-da. Don't they both get fish from Seagrist? So Catch Train, I know that Seagrist is one of the biggest wholesalers in the country, but there's also a bunch of other wholesalers around. So I would not surprise me if Petco's and Petsmarts around the country in the US bought from Seagrist. You know, I think they're the main wholesaler in the US, but it's also, you know, it's decision of what fish they buy from Seagrist. The Seagrist is going to have your tiger barbs. You're going to have your neon tetras. You're going to have your rainbow sharks. They choose to buy those. What Seagrist also has, the fancy plecos, the crazy good-looking Molui crebensis, the crazy good-looking gars, the catfish, the Oscar fish. What else am I missing in there we've done from there? I mean, I've pulled fish out of our wholesaler bags, and I'm like, wait a second, I've never even seen this. And you can go back and look at our unboxings that from our wholesaler, I've been like, I have no idea what this fish is. I guarantee you our wholesaler is also supporting Petco's and PetSmarts because they've got to sell fish to stay in business too, right? This is looking good. Okay, we're at here. Videos chat. Yeah, hopefully, I think the stream's back up to par. Hopefully. Okay. Let's keep digging here. Where are we at with chat? Dun, dun, dun. Coley, good to see you again. What's going on, man? Haven't been here for the whole stream, but I feel like it has to do with staff and ownership. And that's, you know, Lewis, how do I put this? When Lewis started talking to me about coming onto the waterfront, one of the things he mentioned was not meaning to sound arrogant. I have knowledge that he wanted to tap into that he felt could help build the waterfront. Now I'm looking to increase said knowledge so I can help everybody that comes to the waterfront. Now, working the waterfront, I've also learned so much. I think you said here a little later that, what is it? Lewis is a fish encyclopedia. Now, that kid knows so much about stuff. Like African cichlids, I can't keep up with the guy. You can dump in 50 African cichlids into a tank. Like, that one's this one. That was this one. That was this one. And I'm like, blue. You know, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. But then somebody comes walking in, and pufferfish. When we first started having pufferfish in the shop, people would come in asking about the dragon puffer, asking about the Amazon puffer, asking about the pea puffer, asking about the figure 8 puffer that randomly came from a tank breakdown that lived in freshwater for the last 2 years. It was still good. So now Lewis, he snags me. He's like, hey, man, talk to these people about this dragon puffer. Okay, I understand puffers. So it's a combination, but it is a combination of staff and ownership, different things. Of a lot of times, the Petco employees, they try so hard, and that's what I really appreciate about a lot of them is that they are really good at what they do in very specific areas. Unfortunately, other times it's meh, I just work here. But I've also had that same experience in local fish stores. When me and Lewis drove out to Carrie in Reno to take her Walther, her Oscar, we'd stopped off at that local fish store in the area, and nobody wanted to talk with us. Nobody wanted to say hello to us. I finally started asking questions, and I asked one guy something. He's like, yeah, I don't know, man. That fish just came in a week ago. I don't know what it is. And so like that really proved to us that by greeting people that walk into the shop, okay, number one, they already feel welcomed. Then you got to have some knowledge about some fish you order in. Now, I talked about a knife fish we have in the shop that's new to the hobby. Okay, Lewis has a good enough understanding of how to keep other knife fish that we felt confident bringing in this knife fish to learn. Then you'll then share that knowledge and experience with people that maybe buy it, right? Let's see here. Lumpy Dog, hello, good to see you here. Leo, I know you were talking about this earlier too. What haps are you able to order and what flower horns you guys have available? So the haps, I mean, list can go on and on. If you want to send me your specifics you're looking for, then I can start looking at lists to see if we can't get specifics haps in. I mean, I'm sure my list of haps is huge. I don't have that readily available at me. So if you want to send me a list of some you're looking for, I can start looking for them. Flower horns. Right now, we have the SRDs, the Super Red Dragons, and the Comfas in stock right now. The thing with flower horns, too, though, is we could have 5 SRDs, but all the SRDs are going to be just like slightly different, purling, slightly different head growth, slightly different body type. So, but mainly it's SRDs and Confas that we have in the shop right now. My only issue with the box stores is their fish names. They don't use hobbyist names. About Serpent Tetras, they named Fire Tetras. And that's another thing too, is like I've keeping so many tanks on the waterfront. I mean, I started, you gotta tag your tanks properly. But I agree with you. Like one of the things too that they may have an issue there is the minimum tank size they put on tags. That's a whole other argument in itself. You know, they could put a red tail shark in like, yeah, minimum 10 gallons. Like, oh, okay. But like, also you may need more there. So but how, like who's doing the unboxing, right? Where I can hold up a bag of fish and go, Lewis, what is this? It goes, oh, that's that fish. I know what that is. Petco employee can hold up the bag and be like, Fire Tetras, right? And then when you're ordering in mass quantities, it can get difficult too. So yeah, I've seen a lot of mislabeled fish in the shops. And one thing how do I do this? I've trained myself when I'm in a Petco to not get involved in conversations. If I'm not invited in, it's not my place. That's kind of how I've taken that approach to it. But yeah, I've seen that issue too. MT Aquatics, hello, good to see you here. I love Nina Los Gars. Can't you train? I was introduced to the Nina Los Gars in the hobby at the waterfront, and they are wicked looking. Skeep. Good to see you here. See, I'm way behind on the chat. I got ranting so hard there. We got here Atkins Nature Aquariums. Hello, good to see you here. Carrie says, I've had great experiences with our nearest Petco, which is awesome. The employee I deal with is in the fish keeping hobby, super knowledgeable. I know lots of people that haven't been as lucky as me. And that's what's good too, is when you get like, let's say you get a younger person that gets into the hobby, wants to make a good name for themselves, they are more likely to get a job at a big box store versus a local fish store, because that big box store may have the budget to hire them, where not all local fish stores necessarily have the budget to hire people, right? It's overhead costs and rent, where corporations, they can balance that money out, umbrella down. So that's good. You've had good experiences. And I like to, where you said it's an employee you deal with. If you were in a big box store area, that maybe that's all you have. Find that employee that helps you. Find that employee that talks to you well. Keep working with them. I can't tell you how many, people are still learning that me and Peter now, work at the waterfront. But I can't tell you how many times somebody's walked in and they go, no, I need to talk to Lewis. Like I've been talking with Lewis on text, on message. I want to talk to him. Yeah, I 100% get that, right? Planet Tank Enthusiast joining in. I appreciate it. Yeah, the minimum tank size at Petco are iffy. A lot of them can't be. Let's see here. Yes, they are not all fish experts, but you may have one. That's the thing too, is how many times does an individual get thrown into like, hey, you're now the aquatics manager. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Cool, just run it. Okay. That's a good thing, Carrie. All depends on the Petco. I've had various experiences, some good and bad. I'm there too. I am there too. I just saw something though. Where am I here? Where we go. Atkins Nature Aquariums. I haven't got a fish from a Petco in a couple years. Now, here's the truth of it. Well, here's my opinion of this one. Is my interest in the hobby grew, so did the fish I wanted to keep. When you go down the YouTube rabbit hole and you see things like frontosia, peacocks, haps, pufferfish, more specific angelfish, rams. What else have I kept? Jeez, I've got rainbow fish. God, there we go. Mouth brooding severums, flower horns. Petcos don't always carry those, right? So then you have to branch out to where you want to find these things. I can't walk down. Here's a good example. I now have zebra Danios in my fish room. I'm going to try and breed them. It's going to be a super fun project, and I'm so excited to show you guys my plan to breed these things. You can find those all over Petcos and PetSmarts, right? But then you move over into my OB raspberry peacocks. You can't find those at a PetSmart or a Petco. Then you move down into my Molui crebensis. What the heck is a Molui crebensis? Like, I had no idea when Lewis called me and said, I have a crebensis here with a blue eye. Like, do you want it? Like, what? Right? Orange rice fish. I had to buy those out of a guy off Aquabit out of Hawaii. So I've stopped shopping at Petco and PetSmart because we're going to say my needs and interests have shifted. But I got started with Petco and PetSmart. I absolutely got started there. And I think that's a good thing. So I'm the same. I haven't bought a fish from there in a long time, a long, long time. But even now, I still, the dollar per gallon sale is nice. I still think that Petco area meets some needs. But yeah, I haven't bought there either because a lot of it is my interests have shifted to where local fish stores can give me that. Sorry, I hit my mic. That's gonna be bouncing all over the place. My local fish store uses weird common names, and that's what's hard too. Is like some fish have 5 different common names they go by, so we can call it one thing. And we were joking too. We had a customer drop off some mollies, and they were gold, right? He called them gold nugget mollies. And we were joking of like, well, we could call these the super yellow mollies. Like, nobody would know the difference. So how many times does a new name get made up for a fish that we just throwing names out there? Leo said you're looking for a Buchromis Notitania and the Flowerhorn SRD. So I got plenty of SRDs in stock right now. If you want a specific SRD, we can schedule something where I'm at the shop. We can do like a FaceTime, a Skype call. I can DM you a bunch of pictures. We can pick one out, or I can just say, Lewis, put the best one on hold for you. But the Buchromis Notitania, if you want to send me an email with that specific, I'll see what we can track down for you. Empty Aquatics, I use my phone to research in the store. See, I use my phone to research all the time. Even when I was in, like, I made a joke to Lewis today of like, man, I'm so ashamed that I was shopping at other local fish stores before you opened. But that's the thing. How many times in a local fish store do you see a fish you have no idea what it is? So you do this. You're like, what is this fish? Okay. Like, but that's where the technology can also be so empowering, is at our fingertips. We can have that knowledge right there. I did that at Petco and PetSmart. Like, what is a rainbow shark? What is a rainbow shark? Like, what is this? Like, what is this? Like, absolutely. I encourage that. HD Aquatics joining in. Hello, good sir. No Petco. I'm in Ontario, so no dollar per gallon sale. Yeah, you are up there. But I'm curious to see what you've got available to you in your area also. What we got here? Alex, is it Brenrostro? I probably just butchered your name. I'm sorry about that. Good to see you. I think it's the first time here. I feel like the cichlid I bought from Petco versus local fish store is a lot hardier. Like, they pump them up with steroids. And it's, again, a lot of it comes down to the wholesalers, right? Like, where do they come from? Where did the wholesaler buy that fish from, kind of a thing? So we've seen some differences in fish that are brought in locally versus fish that are bought from wholesalers. Corridors especially. We just had some Pelatus corridors dropped off to us from a guy who was feeding them very high quality food. They're plump, they're fat, they're big. We brought some red Venezuelans from our wholesaler. They're itty bitty. The wholesaler's intention is to keep fish alive and healthy enough to sell out quickly. We need to keep fish alive and get them plump and fat, so when people buy them, they have a really good experience with it, kind of a thing there. Dreamfish SLC, this is a fun one. Fun fact, I was supposed to be at Petco when I entered the hobby. Found a local fish store instead and took it. Yeah, that's what it is. Like, I remember when I first found out what a local fish store was, I went on Google and I said, local fish stores in my area. One popped up. I was like, what is this place? And I specifically remember my first time in that shop. And I remember looking around going, oh my gosh, like, what are these things? You know, what is this? What is that? Like, that's a huge fish. What is this thing? My mind was blown. You know, you talk about live plants. I had no idea I was doing live plants first. I had no idea you could keep live plants in a tank. So that's the thing. Like people bash on like Petco and Petsmart for their live plants, but like as long as it gets somebody into the hobby, it's a good starting point. See, Carrie has a really good comment here. I've been lucky enough to have a good relationship with the manager at my local fish store. She is full of knowledge. If she doesn't know, she breaks out some books and Google. I like that. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Lewis plop his iPad on the front counter and be like, all right, let's look this up. What is this fish? And a lot of times it's, oh, it's just going by that other fifth common name, but here's what I can tell you about this fish. So I think that's a good thing too. When an employee is able to say, I don't know, then they research it, then they talk to you and they build that relationship with you. So that's awesome. Hey, Trent, are swordtails harder to breed? My swordtails aren't showing any breeding behavior and just fighting all day long. So are males sparring for females or are they fighting for space? So harder to breed, it's a live bear. So the joke is add water. I think they're a little more difficult to breed, let's say, than guppies. And I only say that because swordtails are bigger and more aggressive, in my opinion. So swordtails can keep their own with other fish, but as long as you give, and that's why I do my swordtails in 20 longs versus like a 10-gallon, is I feel there's just more space. Even my swordtail pair from Idaho, they make a 20-gallon look small. Like those things are massive. So harder to breed, I'd say they're only harder to breed more so they are known to predate faster on their fry. And I think they're just bigger fish in general. So as long as you give some good spacing for the swordtails to see, I'm stuck on the fighting. I would really pay attention to, is it a dominant male? Because I can tell you when I first started with my albino kohaku swords, I had a group of them. And there was one dominant male that was driving the other males away. Then when I separated that male, the sub-dom male, he quickly grew faster, put on more weight. The sword grew longer. So I would also check to see if it's male sparring for female attention kind of a thing there. We got here. I really think it depends on the nearby Petco you have. For example, I have a great local Petco that takes great care of their fish. However, I have the worst local fish store in the area, so I wish to live in Utah. And that's the thing too, is it's local fish stores can be both good or bad based on the people, based on the knowledge, based on the experience. And that's the same thing with Petco. You can have rough knowledge, like rough working things with Petcos. We can have really good working knowledge with Petco. So I think a lot of it too is you gotta just, find the good in what you have. And if you have something bad in the area, find other outlets, find other sources. And that's after I kind of went through, let's say I went through my bad experience with my local fish store before the waterfront opened. I asked them, can you do special orders? Like, will you? Oh yeah, sure. Not a problem. Okay. I'm looking for this. Sweet. We'll call you back. Nothing ever from them. So I tried to slowly ease into this and I'm really looking for this fish. Is this something you can possibly do for me? Then I saw another customer walk in and asked them the same question I just did. They took out a special order book, wrote it all down. I was like, wait a second. They didn't ask me for any of my information. And I was done. That's when I was like, all right, I'm shopping online, finding things. Blew me away when Lewis opened. Day one, I asked him, can you find me the tiger platy? That dude wrote it down within 2 days. Not even 2 days, like the next day, he had an answer for me. That's what drew me to Lewis and the waterfront, was the customer service I experienced. Not so much the fish, but it was the customer service that kept me coming back to that. Our local fish store is good, just doesn't have enough staff to actually nerd out with you. You have to seek them out to get any help. See, we found Saturday, we were so busy, and it's hard balancing I want to nerd out with you so bad. I want to sit there and talk fish and options. And did you see the way that this fish danced for this fish? And, just the super nerdy things. I want to spend so bad talking about it, but oftentimes it's like, cool, you got your fish? Need anything else? Nope. Okay. Hello, welcome to the waterfront. How can I help you? It's the fact of you have to seek somebody out. I do not like at the waterfront. You will always be greeted. You may just have to wait a minute because we're helping 5 other customers ahead of you, but we always do our best to make sure that you are welcomed into the waterfront on that aspect. But yeah, I have to remind myself I can't always stop and nerd out as long as I want to, and that's probably that's the truth of it. Like, I guarantee you there are so many local fish employees that want to nerd out with you. They just may not have the time. So it's hard there. It is hard there. Carrie, I'm sorry you had a bad experience at my local fish store. I believe you dealt with the owner who is quiet and reserved. The manager is more personable and is always asking if you have questions or need help. Personality clashes, right? Like Lewis, myself, and Peter, we all we're similar enough we can work together, but you can definitely everybody has different personality. There's nothing wrong with that. I just have how do I put this? The way Peter found a guy that we bought a bunch of fish from over the weekend, made a really strong connection with him. When he talked, and it's mine, his personality just didn't quite mesh. Lewis has customers that I don't know what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say, we all have different personalities, and it's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate that I left from that local fish store thinking that he just didn't want to help me. When in actuality, that's just his personality. He's more reserved, more quiet. Where the manager is more comfortable. Hey, welcome to the waterfront. I'm the personality of, yeah, I'll greet you. How can I help you? Sometimes I'm that overbearing type, and I've had one day where I realized, like, oh, yeah, okay, they just really wanted to be left alone, because I've been there too. I've been there where it's like, stop asking me if I need help. I will come talk to you if I need help. So it's balancing personalities of that. So that's a very good insight there, Carrie. Very good insight. Aquaballs, hello. Thanks for joining in. Planet Enthusiast. I'm thinking right now, might as well move to Utah in about 8 years to have you guys a local fish store. Well, in 8 years, I hope we have dominated the Utah local fish store market. Let's put it that way. Let's see. HG Aquatics. In my area only, a small place like Ruffins. Hope I'm saying that right. I do know some breeders where I really go shopping is Big Owls and Angel Fins in, is it Guelph? See, I knew Big Owls was up there. And that's why I don't know all the big shops up there either. We have going on there. Texas Fisherman, hello, sir, and welcome to joining. I might consider returning my swordtails back to Petco and might trade them in for platies instead because I'm not ready for swordtails. So it's, and it's may not be ready. It's learning. It's different experiences with different fish. I've had platies I've had a really rough time with. I've had swordtails that bred like weeds. So it's do you know what? If you make that decision, don't feel discouraged by it. Only until it was recently is where I've started taking on more challenging things and trying some things. But in my next fish room, I've learned so much from this fish room. In my next fish room, I've want to do things different. You've heard me talk about that in some of my fish room now, right? Like substrate. I had crebensis on bare bottom tank before, never saw any breeding action. I put crebensis on substrate. Oh my gosh, those fish are fired up, right? So don't feel discouraged by something. Take it as a learning experience and see if you can't you're bettering your knowledge of the hobby there. We have a decent fish store here in town. The owner is amazing, but his employees aren't so much. They seem angry all the time. When he helps you, it's a different story. That was a different experience I had in my local fish store before the waterfront opened. The owners I hated working with the owners. One of them was easier to work with than the other one. But some of the employees were really, really hard to work with. And yeah, right. Like it was basically, hey, I just need you to catch a fish and let me be on my way. But I will tell you, having worked at the shop now, it is so stressful netting fish out for a customer when they were right over your shoulder. You want to talk about a stressful experience? Whew. Not that fish. I said that fish. Oh, yeah. Hang on. It is so stressful. Like plecos, I was catching out itty bitty super red plecos out of a tank yesterday. And they're like, oh my gosh, don't squish it. Don't squish it. Don't squish it. Ugh, terrible. But it's fun. So much fun. Neil Lexington, hello. Thanks for joining the chat. Love my local fish store, but unfortunately, they don't quarantine fish before selling them. Unless you have a quarantine tank, it's pretty dangerous buying from them. And see, like that's a good point too, is it goes back to my conversation of the Petco thing, where Petco probably doesn't quarantine theirs either. Like we're trying to build our quarantine process at the waterfront so you have a better experience. But I still argue that it's a tote, a small sponge filter, and a small air pump is all you need for quarantine. And really, it's if you don't even need to medicate necessarily unless you see something. So you can set up a small quarantine tote fairly cheaply that should make it a good place to buy from. But I will agree with you too on the effort of at the waterfront. We don't necessarily have a specific quarantine room, but we have quarantine procedures that we follow, that we do try to put into place, that we do keep an eye on. We're not afraid to mark a tank in quarantine. We're not afraid to say that and tell people, hey, that fish is really sick. We're not going to sell it to you right now. Well, but I want it. That's fine. You come back in a week and buy it. Give me a week to make that fish healthy for you. So I will agree with you there, Neo. It's two sides of the coin. There should be some quarantine procedures in place, but I also think as a hobbyist, and it's my opinion, we also have our own duty to do quarantining because we are the ones that ultimately decide what comes into our tanks. But that is something that I want to do in the next fish room. I want to have like a wall, an area that is only quarantine. Any fish that hits those tanks will only be quarantine tanks. And my thinking is I'm going to have a lot of tanks. I'm going to have a lot of fish. So I need to be very, very cautious at what comes into tanks because it's the horror stories that kill me of didn't quarantine my fish, out of these fish, and it wiped out stocks of tanks, right? So that's why when we're getting ready to bring fish in from like wholesalers is we will shuffle fish around in the store to make empty tanks to land new fish in, and that's their quarantine tank for that time frame. So we have some kind of quarantine procedures put in there we'd rather have there. Let's see here. Yeah, like Neil, you said you do now, but most newish people don't. I didn't either. That's another thing that's so hard to teach some people too is like I didn't quarantine either when I first started. I had no idea what that was. But now that I've learned and I've experienced, and that's where I think the difference of people get so angry at Petco fish of, oh, they killed them other fish. Well, did you quarantine that fish? Well, no. Okay. Here we go. We got here. M says, true. That's why reading up is best and even more important to educate others. That's another stream idea I have, and I really want to go down the rabbit hole on. Maybe that's another controversial thing I see on Facebook of the posts of my sister has a 3-gallon tank with 5 goldfish in it, and I told her she's the dumbest person in the world for having that. Now she doesn't talk to me. Wonder why. It's another like stream topic I want to do is when it's appropriate to educate people. But enough of that for now. What we got here? I think I'd rather have some platies because I'd have good luck with breeding. I've had good luck with breeding guppies in the past. Just had to deal with internal parasites, bad genes, just feed them to my turtles last week. So it's finding, you can find both healthy and unhealthy fish anywhere you go. That's why I've bought a lot from local breeders. Like I've had my longest ever lived fish came from Petco. Like it's true. My longest ever living fish came from Petco. But we got here. My favorite store is over an hour away and they quarantine everything. It's great. They ask more money, but in my honest opinion, it's worth it. I go there 6 to 8 times a year. So that's one thing too is I want the waterfront to be is how do I put it? We've had people come in and they go, oh, I can buy discus from this place for half the price. Okay, then go buy those discus. Go buy those discus for half the price. But are those discus healthy? Well, I don't know. They're just half the price. Like when a few years ago, when I had my lapse in the hobby and I sold my Fahaka puffer, I had it up on a local classified and I had a kid just hounding me of, well, I can buy that. I can buy a Fahaka puffer online for half the price. Okay, then go buy that puffer. It's literally what I said to him. He goes, well, I want your puffer. Okay, then buy my puffer. Well, I don't want to pay that much. Then don't buy my puffer. My Fahaka at the time was like 9 inches, almost 10-inch puffer. It's a big fish. And he even had the nerve to screenshot the online store and send it to me. And I text back and I would quote, 2 to 3 inch Fahaka puffer. Mine is triple that size. Mine has been properly quarantined. Mine has been dewormed. Mine has been fed a steady diet of this. Water changes, everything. That's why my puffer is this cost, because I have emotional investment into this fish. And I feel this is a fair asking price, one, for a fish that has been properly cared for and a fish of this size. So we have people come in and like, oh, I can buy that discus for this. Okay. Is that store keeping their discus at 86 degrees? We have people ask about our discus all the time because they're big, flashy, good-looking fish. Our first comment to them is, hey, on this side of the shop, it's where we keep our hot water fish. Well, what do you mean hot water fish? 86 degrees or up. Well, yeah, I don't want to turn my heater up that high. Okay, come look at these fish. So it's a fun balancing game we play, but I am willing to lose a sale on a fish, but then have them leave with more knowledge. Where we stand. Crown Till Half Moon coming in with the party of a Happy New Year. Hello, good sir. All right. Got here. People are obnoxious with online sales. I sold a tank on Facebook Marketplace, and I'll never do that again. Yeah. Classified sales can be, man, they can be fun, can't they? Like, you're always wrong. You are always wrong on what you're doing there. So like, we strive to be like the best about that. Lewis, I just got your text, and I'm really curious to see if that's true. Angel coming in saying you're lurking. I love it. Hello, good sir. Thanks for lurking around with us. What we got here? All right. Well, guys, we're moving into almost an hour and a half, but Lewis, I gotta know if this is true now. Not gonna let you get a. So Lewis tells me that it was him talking to me about buy my puffer. I'm really curious to see if you're talking smack there, man. I don't know. Could be. Trent, sir, can you share quarantine methods for waterfront store? I talked about it in the stream. So if you want to go back through and, I'll tell you really quick. We did talk about it briefly in the stream there. Our methods are, we will rearrange fish to make sure there's empty tanks to land new fish into it. And we are not afraid to write quarantine across the tank if we see something bad with it. So if there's sick fish that land that don't look healthy, we'll put a queue on that tank for a week, bring those fish back to health, then we'll sell those fish. So we have meds on hand. We're not afraid to treat the tanks. We're not afraid to wash the tanks. So yeah, we try to have open tanks to land new fish into. There, what we got going on there. Which Lewis is that? Forgive me, I don't know the name. So Lewis, my main owner, Lewis, he's Dreamfish SLC on the chat right now, but he just texted me about the story we were telling about the puffer there. Guppy Guru coming in on the very end of the stream. Hello, good sir. All right, everybody. I'm going for over an hour here. So if anybody has any final questions, throw them in the chat here. Let me know what you got. Let me know what you're working on there. Lewis is the main owner of the waterfront. So there's Lewis, myself, and Peter. Peter's Guppy Guru. Lewis is Dreamfish SLC in here, and then of course you know me, I'm Well-Don Tanks, all that. But yeah, Lewis is the main owner, and it's a fun thought process too. That like I tell Lewis that we're very fortunate to be part owners now because he started the shop by himself, he ran the shop by himself, and hopefully we're making it better. That's what we seek to do there, is make it better. But yeah, okay, so yeah, any final Q&A? Get them in here. We'll give it a few more minutes to see what other people got there. Kevin, how long do you quarantine your fish for? It depends on if you're asking shop or personal. At the shop, if fish look healthy, we'll sell them that day. We also, though, will tell customers that too, though, of, hey, these fish just landed. They've been here for a day. We recommend you quarantine them when you get home. If we see active issues with the fish, 1 week minimum at the shop is what we'll do there for. Me personally, how long will I quarantine a fish for? I'm right now in so right now I'm fortunate of when I add fish to tanks, it's typically that like species only kind of a tank thing. In the new fish room, when I will be potentially mixing stocks and different things, it's going to be a 2 week minimum quarantine. So I feel like in that time frame, you can really see if anything bad is going to happen to the fish. You can see if fungal starting. You can see if ick is starting. You can see if something's going with the fish. You can see if they're eating properly. You can see if they're too skinny. It's like a lot of times with cichlids, you'll see the sunken in belly, right? They need to be dewormed. That needs to be cleared out of them. My flower horn, when I brought him home, I could kind of tell that he needed to be treated. He was very healthy, but he needed to be treated. So I ran some meds through him. Dude is perfect now. What we got here? Can I buy the Fahaka for $25? That gotta ring a bell. That does kind of ring a bell. Leo, if you're gonna be inquiring about haps we can order in, send me an email at weldonaquatics@gmail.com. That way it's a more relevant documentation, something I can actively keep track of a lot easier versus a DM, to where an email I can read it, then check it off as unread, so like my mind keeps going to it, and then like in the subject bar you can give me like specifically what you're looking for, kind of a thing there. So I would definitely send me an email, and then I can work with Lewis and Peter getting the fish you're looking for. And just know it may take us some time there too, though. What we got here? I've got a 55 stocking right now. Can't wait to get it stocked. Nice. I love new tanks, don't you? Love new tanks. Let's see here. Well-Don Tanks, you don't preventively treat. Isn't it hard to tell whether or not they have illnesses a lot of times? So I do preventively treat. I personally do. I was introduced to that practice. I then tried that practice and found that practice worked for me. Now, I, at minimum, encourage people to have the practice of quarantining with observation. I know a lot of people that do not like to preventively treat. That's their personal opinion, and that's great. So it's at the shop, we don't always preventively treat, but oftentimes we will, because a lot of times when fish land, like people puffers, when they land, we know it's going to be a rough time with them. We know we need to deworm those puffers to get them healthy. When some of the cichlids land, we know we need to deworm them. So it's visual there. Personally, though, I do preventively treat because I have a lot of stock that I'm looking to take care of. But a lot of that, too, is if people choose not to preventively treat, I agree with you. If something crops up, oftentimes it may be too late to try and treat that. But even after preventively treating, things still get through, right? It also depends on the fish I'm doing, what I'm working with, like the puffers. When I got them a boo puffer, for example, I put that guy through like a 6-month quarantine based around treating him for internal parasites, giving him 2 weeks off, feeding as much as I can, keeping him healthy, treating him for internal parasites again, taking 2 weeks off. So it's also what I'm looking for there too. Let's see here. Neo says, here's a legit question. What floating plants do you prefer to help with nitrates between water changes? All right, this is a fun topic too. You're getting me off on a good rant here. We're going to try and cycle off here the hour-and-a-half mark. So red root floaters, I absolutely love. I love red root floaters mainly because of the look of them, and they don't take over your tank super fast. It's something that's very controllable, and they're a larger floating plant, so it's much easier to maintain and control. Here's the thing. If you have something like, and this is something I really want to play with in the next fish room, especially in my fry system I have going around in my brain, duckweed is a nitrate like superhero, like a superstar for sucking up nitrates, but it's so difficult to control. Now, if you had like, say, a freshwater refugium where you could contain said duckweed, then just scoop out handfuls of it, now we're onto something. If you're looking for other floating plants, you can also look into things like guppy grass. You can float the guppy grass in the tank. That's going to do really well. Salvinia can do well. It might be like a lot of times, like with certain water movements, it's going to kill a lot of your floating plants. I would just be like, say, duckweed. Like if you float it in your main tank, just be cautious. You will never be able to get rid of it. It is so difficult to get rid of. I currently have a goldfish that I put through quarantine in the fish room right now, munching down on some duckweed to try and control it as much as I can. But it's going to take me weeks to get through it. Where red root floaters, you can actively get rid of if you want to. Guppy grass, you can actively get rid of if you want to. But it's also what you can find. So I know there's like a giant duckweed out there you can look at. Salvinia's a good one. Frogbit's actually another really good one. If you can track down some frogbit, that's a really good one. I'm losing my water now. Water lettuce is another good one. I have some dwarf water lettuce. I find that it can be, for me personally, I've never had good success growing water lettuce. It seems like it always gets wet in the leaves and it rots. So we have to try to experience of it. I've got duckweed, trying to get rid of it, looking for something larger and easier to manage. I'll check those out. Yes, that's the problem with duckweed, is it's so difficult to manage. But if I could find a way to contain it, like if I could find a way to actively contain it to this section, I think I'm onto something. Trust me, like freshwater refugiums, I'm going to make them popular. Just you wait. Just you wait. All right. Algae. I like algae. HG Aquatics, thank you for joining in here. So have a good night, good sir. How do you preventively treat? How long do you wait to add them to the tank? Do you quarantine shrimp or snails? So I've personally never quarantined shrimp or snails. I've never had an issue with them transferring diseases or parasites to fish. If I was going to be quarantining shrimp, it would mainly because I want to get them fattened up and bulkened up before I start a colony with them. Preventatively treating, I use the ICX, the erythromycin, and the General Cure. I add those to the tank. So I get the fish in the tank, maybe give them a day to settle in, then I add meds to them. Even times I've landed fish in tanks, get them in, and while I'm working in the fish room, I add meds to that tank. So I just add my choice of medications to the tank and follow the directions on what I need to do there. I use hornwort a lot for my mollies, eat all my red root floaters, my Salvinia in 2 different tanks. Hornwort's another good one for floating. I have really bad luck growing hornwort, actually. Try reducing, let's see, for my water lettuce problems, try reducing the flow and take tops off if any. They also like a little more iron and calcium than other floaters. So right now I have them down in a tub with very gentle flow from a sponge filter, no top on it, and I still can't get it to grow. Even in my pond outside, I tried dumping in a ton of the giant water lettuce. Never worked for me. See if they eat duckweed as well, Trevor. You'll make millions selling this duck removal. All right, everybody. We are coming up on that hour-and-a-half mark, so we're going to start exiting out of here. So thank you for everybody who joined on the stream tonight. Hopefully, I was able to give some decent opinion, insight, Petco versus your local fish store. I truly enjoy these conversations with you guys. It is so much fun to get these Q&As. get these topics, and my voice is going out. So we are, the lurkers, the moderators, the members, thank you so much. Those who catch the replay, thank you so much. I appreciate all of your support on this. I can't do what I do. It would be, I couldn't do what I've been doing without you guys' support. You've been awesome on the support of this one. So we've got a lot of dreams ahead of us, a lot of work ahead of us, a lot of good things coming here. So if you are new to the stream, consider subscribing. And again, guys, I appreciate all of you. So we'll see you Friday for Friday's video. So again, have a good night, everybody. Love you all. Keep your tanks well done.